Hi, I'm Dr. Nancy, and this is Dr. Nancy Knows, the celebrity medical doctor. This is a show that brings awareness, motivation, and inspiration to many of our communities, bridging the gap of disparity, uniting our nation. Today, our special guest celebrity is Doug Caporrino. You do not want to miss. But first, you can also listen and see Dr. Nancy Knows on this network, drnancyknows.com, YouTube, and Facebook. And for all you podcaster listeners, we are on many of the platforms out there for your listening pleasure. Remember to like, subscribe, and share. Be the change that you wish to see in the world. It only takes one. Our guest today, Doug Caporrino, is better known to be the nutritionist to the stars. He is a best-selling author. He is functional medicine nutritionist and a biochemist. Doug Caporrino has dedicated his life's mission to improve health and fitness, to be the best that he can be in all things in that area. He has also been a nutritionist fitness guru to some of the superstars like Sylvester Stallone and John Travolta. Doug, it's so nice to have you here today.
Great to be here, Dr. Nancy. I've been looking forward to this for a long time.
Well, you know, it's such an honor. You are a celebrity in your own right. You speak all over the world. You develop supplementation. You speak so eloquently and back it up with just information that's good for overall health and wellness in the fitness of an individual. You've dedicated your life to that.
It has been my journey from the time I was a young kid, for sure. And it has been my passion. People always ask me, you know, what do I think about my work? And I always say, what work? I've never worked a day in my life. So I've been very blessed in choosing this journey, for sure.
Well, that's amazing. And, you know, I often speak to a number of individuals, and you know, if it's a passion of yours, it often should not feel like work at the end of the day. Who has been instrumental in your life and being the person that you are today?
Well, it's interesting. I had a very rocky beginning, which a lot of people can read about in my book. But I was born with 3 holes in my heart, juvenile onset rheumatoid arthritis, and a very rare disease called familial Mediterranean fever, which at the time when I was diagnosed, there were only like 700 cases reported in the United States. So it was very rare. So I began my journey when I started getting diagnosed with some of these in my teens, and doctors wanted to put me on a whole course of medications that I knew were going to have severe side effects down the road. And I said, you know, this just doesn't feel right to me. And I can remember meeting a chiropractor for the first time in a health club that I was working out at. And I remember him telling me about how tweaking the body in just different ways of having to adjust it so that the body can be back in balance, so that the power that made the body can heal the body. It just kind of blew me away. So it began me on my journey. And then I got into the whole nutritional side of it and the chemical side of it, realizing that we are all biochemically different. So that each person, as I see them today, is their own experiment. So for me, looking into an individual from their chemistry standpoint and exactly what works for that particular person, to me is mind-boggling, because everybody is different. Because if we weren't, we'd all be wearing a size 9 shoe. And that's been my philosophy.
Well, we are. We are all very different, and we are a self-healing machine if we actually treat it with the appropriate nutrients and nutrition that it needs to regenerate itself. So I know that you're big on deficiencies. Tell us a little bit about deficiencies in the body, and how can an individual seek out natural ways to heal their body?
Great question. So I look at this back into the days of Linus Pauling, who was a double Nobel Prize winner. Back in the days of Linus Pauling, okay, he basically said that every single disease in the body can be traced back to a nutrient deficiency. Well, that's great, but how do we pinpoint these deficiencies? If we go to a doctor today and they do regular blood work, okay, we get the blood drawn, we get our results back in 2 or 3 days. Well, that's a blood serum test. That's only going to be indicative of what's going on in your system for the past several days. It tells you a very small piece of the story. The kind of blood work I do is called intracellular. It's actually where we extrapolate the cells, we grow them in Petri dishes so that we can actually see what the cell membrane is absorbing or not absorbing. So based on the old philosophy of you are what you eat is not necessarily true. You are what you absorb. And the problem today is that we're faced with so many different toxins in society, from the things that we eat, from the things that we breathe, from the things that we sit on even just the fire retardants in our chairs and on our couches affects something called our microbiome, which science is finally admitting is 75% of our immune system. And to me, that's been the majority of my studies for the past 10 years. So it's a matter of balancing out that microbiome and giving it the proper bacteria and things that it needs so that your body can absorb all of these incredible nutrients that we take in on a daily basis. So that's how I do it. I started from scratch. I look at a person's blood work from a micronutrient standpoint, and then we start to balance it out from there. And then all of a sudden you start to see health reappear.
Fascinating, fascinating. So tell the viewers, listeners, on how to access your services and all the services that you offer.
Yeah, it's really easy. You could just go to my website, www.doug-caporrino, CAPORRINO.com. From there, you can sign up for my weekly educator. It's actually a health newsletter that goes out weekly, and it's heard and read on every continent in the world. Also, you can access my 800 number there. You can contact us, and we can do the type of nutrient deficiency testing anywhere in the United States. You don't have to come and see me in Florida or soon to be Arizona. So the great thing about it is if you have a telephone, I can treat you.
That's amazing. Access is everything, and awareness is so much more important as well. And you know, a lot of people aren't aware that this particular micronutrient testing is superior to a lot of the other ordinary testing.
It is. And you know, the old adage, you know, knowledge is power, I don't necessarily agree with. It's action that is power. You may know something, but if you're not taking action upon it, it's not going to serve you. So the whole idea is to really understand really what your blueprint is, and then to start taking action from that. Then you just start to see things reverse. It's actually miraculous when you start to see these turnarounds in people. Everything from cancer to people who were diagnosed with ALS that never had ALS. It's just, to me, it's mind-blowing.
That is customized care at its finest, and that is where we're moving. That is the future. So that's really wonderful information. Let's talk about your book. It's a bestseller. Tell Me, Teach Me, Heal Me. How to Get Healthy Before You Die Trying. So I read this book. You have so many good nuggets of information in it, and it's for just about anybody. And all of the information is accessible to them. So it's not something that's unique or hard to find. Let's just talk about, you said amazing avocado. And what does the avocado do that you are so fascinated about?
You know, avocados are an amazing food. It's a superfood. First and foremost, it's a complete protein, which most people don't know. Most people don't know that the healthiest part of an avocado is actually the pit. So you can actually ground it up inside a coffee grinder and sprinkle it over your food or your oatmeal or anything else that you have that you prefer to eat. So there's a lot of different things about the avocado that are just incredible. And the book was actually a culmination of over 10 years of speaking around the world where people kept nudging me, when are you going to write the book? So after 2.5 years of sitting down and putting my nose to the grindstone, I have over 400 pages, over 82 chapters of everything from personal care products to baby food to you name it, in easy to understand layman's terms so that people can actually go in it. And people are calling it their health book encyclopedia. They keep it next to them in bed. So it's a great honor for me to have written this.
It is really good. You talk about laundry detergent. You even talk about ketogenesis and how that could help an individual that has cancer.
Correct. So with cancer, a lot of people think, we've heard, cancer can't live in an alkaline environment, and that is so false. Based upon a mentor of mine, Dr. Nicholas Gonzalez, who used to be one of the lead researchers at Sloan Kettering years ago, and then went off to open up his own practice, who's no longer with us, sad to say. But he taught me that, again, each cancer feeds and thrives in a certain environment. So there are certain cancers that actually thrive in an alkaline environment, unlike other cancers that do thrive in an acidic environment. So it's understanding what that cancer is, the person's biochemical makeup, and then developing a whole nutrition plan for them to help beat the cancer. You know, I always say to people, you know, you just don't wake up with cancer one day and you don't wake up with heart disease one day. It's been there for years, but it's a matter of, again, finding the right blood work and the testing to understand that, you know what, you could be at risk for this, you know, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years from now. So those are the important things. It's not waiting till crisis hits before you take action.
It is maintenance and, most importantly, prevention. That's great. You also talk about fermented foods and the fascinating greatness of fermented foods. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Thousands of strains of bacteria, okay, in all fermented foods. Things like sauerkraut, pickles, all of these things that who knew were great for your stomach. Because remember, the flora in your stomach, okay, is this amazing environment. It's this space, I say, that carries all of these trillions of different types of bacteria, which adds to our health and our immune system. So the key is that fermented foods, the longer they ferment, the more strains of bacteria that you're actually getting to actually propagate the areas of the gut, namely the microbiome, where you actually start to heal yourself. So that, again, look, people can eat all the right foods, take all the right supplements, but if you're not absorbing them, it's not going to make a bit of difference. So by starting to heal the microbiome with these types of superfoods, fermented, all of a sudden you start to see a turnaround and you start to absorb all of these great things that you're eating on a daily basis.
That's amazing. What about our soil and the health of our soil and what our plants and vegetables are growing out of? You know, eating fermented types of foods and buying like farmers market or locally grown are probably more sustainable, and you get more nutrients out of these types of foods.
Absolutely correct. And, you know, great question, too, because you can take actually a head of broccoli today and measure the nutritional value of that in comparison to a head of broccoli 25 years ago, and it's 50% less nutrient. I mean, that blows me away. So even organic today, okay, although much better than something conventionally grown, you got to remember something. We're exposed to all of these herbicides, pesticides, fungicides, glyphosates. You know, when you take a look at something like Roundup, which is so prevalent in our society, it's wreaked havoc on people's guts. So for people that come to me that say they're gluten intolerant, I'm going, no, you're not gluten intolerant. You're glyphosate intolerant, okay? It's because you've been exposed to all of this Roundup and everything that you're eating that's created this imbalance in your gut. When we get that out of your system, okay, all of a sudden you can go back to eating things that are organic and gluten that are healthy for you.
Amazing. Oh my goodness. Okay. How does our viewers and listeners get a hold of you and access your services?
Sure. Once again, www.doug-caporrino, CAPORRINO, or 1-800-GET-GETT, FIT.
And telemedicine or communications, individuals can reach out to you and access your services that way?
Absolutely. I could do what I do anywhere in the United States, anywhere in the world for that matter. I actually have clients in Dubai, the UK. My soon-to-be wife will tell you I'm up at all hours of the night sometimes because of the time changes. But again, for me, it's a turn on because when I'm speaking to somebody on the other end of the phone that's crying because they're getting results that they never thought imaginable, brings a tear to my eye. And, I'm bawling on the phone as I'm listening to this person tell me about their victories. And it's a true pleasure.
We are going to talk about a few more tips, but we're not going to give everything away in this book. How does individuals get your book?
So real easy. Again, you can go to my website, you can go to Barnes & Noble, or you can go to Amazon. I will tell you this, if you do go to my website, I promise you a signed copy. All you have to do is just put in the head when you're buying the book, tell them you want it signed to, and I'm more than happy to personally sign it and get it out to you and put a nice little message in there for you as well. But if that's not convenient, Barnes & Noble or Amazon as well.
Now let's talk about over-the-counter or even prescribed non-steroidal anti-inflammatories that many people take. And you offer a remedy or a substitute, a suitable natural substitute in your book. And you said beet juice or beet roots.
Absolutely. So again, my philosophy is you weren't born with a shortage of Tylenol in your system. You weren't born with a shortage of Advil in your system, okay? So all of these things that people take all of the time, which by the way, according to the CDC, is the #1 cause for liver failure in the United States. So people need to wake up a little bit. But yes, you have these amazing things that are available to you on a daily basis. Beetroot juice, beetroot greens, okay, are full of nitrous oxide that really help and act as an anti-inflammatory within the body. Now, sometimes I will couple that with a few other things. Magnesium, who knew? But There are several forms of magnesium. So where you have some of these other talk shows, and I won't mention any names, that will tell people to take magnesium, they're not telling people, look, there's several kinds. And the kind that are most abundant on store shelves is the cheapest form, which does nothing for the body. So it's understanding, again, the type of nutrients, because there are different nuances in each and several kinds. So it's understanding that, which are going to be the ones that are most bioavailable for your body. That's
really great information. You know, I think that when individuals are seeking out a healthcare provider or a health coach, they really want true, authentic information that's credible and that's going to get them the results that they seek out. And it's relationship building at the end of the day. Credible information, your reputation is everything.
Absolutely. And you know what? When you look at the AMA today, the American Medical Society, they will tell you that the average doctor today spends only about 7 to 11 minutes with their average patient. How do you get to know somebody or actually look into a person's past? You have no idea. People, before they come on with me, they have to fill out an extensive intake form, and I ask everything about the kind of carpeting they have in their house, about what they did for work in their whole entire life. I want to know everything, so that this way, when I do get on the phone with that person and I spend at least an hour with that person, I can really dig deep and kind of understand, okay, what's really going on here? Because again, everybody's exposed to different stressors, physical, chemical, and emotional, so it's understanding how those different stressors could be affecting a person's body. That could be, again, from the laundry detergent that they're using, the deodorant that they're using, the foods that they're eating, or the environment that they're living in, and what they're breathing on a daily basis.
That's exactly right. You know, it is almost a process of elimination. It's an investigation. You really do need to get to know the client that's sitting in front of you, or you are connecting and communicating with. It's so essential, and it cannot be done in a short amount of time, definitely. So an extensive history is so important, so important. Now, let's talk about wheatgrass. One more tip, wheatgrass, and how beneficial it is to remove waste that clogs up our cells.
Superfood, bar none. So wheatgrass, now let me just give you a little tidbit of information. Most people, when they get wheatgrass, and it's usually sold in 1 ounce shots, will take it and shoot it very fast because they're not crazy over the taste of it. Wrong way to do it. What you need to do is do a little 1/2 ounce at a time, let it sit in your mouth for at least 30 to 45 seconds and let the digestive enzymes in your mouth start to break it down and pre-digest it. Then when you swallow it, it becomes that much more bioavailable for your body. So a little tidbit of information that most people don't know. Now, wheatgrass juice in and of itself will actually help chelate heavy metals out of the cells into the bloodstream and take them out of your body. So it's important to know, again, that this is something that's really detoxifying the blood and detoxifying the cell membrane. So really, really great. I can't speak enough about it.
Excellent. Excellent. Can you give us some tips on this past year that we had, COVID, pandemic, anxiety, depression, some natural things that individuals can do that can decrease anxiety and or clear their head to think more positive and get them out of the funk?
Yeah, great question. So one of the things that most people don't know, and you'll never see these stats actually hit the general media, is that 77% of all people who came down with COVID had a vitamin D deficiency. 77%. That's a startling number, okay? And the funny thing about that is that when you take a look at what the range is when you go for general blood work, again, I say general, okay, the range is 30 to 100. So a lot of times a regular MD, no fault of theirs because they weren't taught it, the average doctor, you're lucky if you get 1 semester of nutrition in school. If they come in at a 40 or a 45 for their vitamin D levels, they're going, you're fine. And I'm looking at them going, no, you're not. We need to get those levels up into the 70s, into the 80s. That's the only way that you upregulate the immune system and are able to, again, really fight something off when you're really exposed to that type of a pathogen. So those types of nutrients will also help, okay, once that immune system is upregulated, it helps with mood, it helps with wellness. So these are all of the things, coupled with a good liposomal C, meaning it's attached to a fat molecule. These regular Cs that you see on the market, emergent Cs and other Cs that you find at local big box stores, are not absorbable into the body. You're lucky if you're getting 10% of it. You need something that's going to be attached to this fat molecule so it bypasses the GI tract so that it gets to the area of the stomach where your body can absorb it. And that's the easiest way. You couple these things, 2 or 3 things, they have a synergistic effect on each other. All of a sudden your immune system is almost bulletproof.
Amazing, definitely. That is so easy to do. It's something that I have been preaching during this season of COVID as well, vitamin D deficiency, and it's not just having low, normal, or deficient levels. You really do need to optimize that level so that you can have upregulation. Totally agree with that as well. Now, listen, how does viewers, are prices on your website? Individuals. Yeah, the economy is tight and your information is amazing. And some people may say, is it expensive?
So great question. So I can tell you this, illness is a heck of a lot more expensive than what I charge, okay? So for me, for the cost of probably a month's worth of Starbucks that you're spending on a daily basis, you can actually come see me, speak to me on the phone, okay, and have a whole entire plan for yourself, charted out for the rest of your life. So I'm very economical to work with. And I can tell you this too, I do a lot of things for people, okay, out of the goodness of my heart. People that have come to me with hard luck stories that I know, don't have the means to. Trust me, I'm one of those people that out of the goodness of my heart, I always say, look, don't worry about it. It's pay it forward. My services I will take care of. Just you have to promise me that once you get better, you're going to be able to do the same thing for the next person. So I work with every individual. For me, it's not about money. Money is just an exchange of energy. It's all about what you can provide to the universe. You throw it out there, good comes back to you.
That's exactly my sentiments. It's a hand up, it's paying it forward, and it's making your services accessible and bringing more awareness to more natural ways that individuals can improve on their health and wellness and fitness levels. Just another one of many ways that you give back. And you continue to give back. At the age of 17, you always wanted to give back to the homeless and the veterans. Tell us a little bit about that.
So I grew up in a small town in New Jersey called Hoboken. It was home of Frank Sinatra, and what a lot of people don't know is the first organized baseball game. And from the time of 17, I remember always on Christmas Day, I would take all of my old clothes, I'd put them in garbage bags, put them in the back of the trunk of my car. And those days, the Bowery in New York was a place where a lot of the homeless people actually used to live. So I would go there and I would open up my trunk on a cold winter morning, and I would literally have the homeless lined up down the block waiting for me giving out clothes. And it was hysterical, Dr. Nancy, because I can tell you, I'd have guys coming up to me going, what do you have in a blue extra large? And I'd be cracking up laughing, going, this guy doesn't have anything on his back, and he's asking me, what do I have in a blue extra large? Anyway, it manifested from there. I've done it every single year since, and now I've upped my game a little bit. That portion of the proceeds to my book actually goes towards finding housing for homeless veterans. And for the past several years, I started something called Doug's Marauders. And we go to a veterans hospital, namely one in West Palm Beach, Florida, where we go and I have a whole bunch of elves that help me every single year. In fact, one year we had to cap it off because we had so many people. We pack hundreds of bags the night before, gift bags. The only thing we're allowed to give out are socks, underwear, and t-shirts. We can't give out anything else. And we're led into this hospital, and if you do not come out crying hysterically, you better check your pulse. Because you have guys and women there that are lifers. They're there for hospice. They've been there for 15 or 20 years, that have given their service to our country. I'm getting welled up about it right now. And when you see what these people give and the sacrifices that they've made, and you ask them, how do you like it here? And they look at you and go, these are my brothers and sisters. And I ask them, do you get many visitors? No, I don't get any. They have family in other parts of the country that don't come and see them. So for us to be able to do this little bit, this kind gesture, it's incredibly heartwarming.
You're so inspiring, motivating, and giving. May God continue to bless you. The more you give, the more you receive. And God has given you these talents that you have certainly been giving out all of your life. I just so appreciate what you do and have done and continue to do.
Thank you. Incredibly blessed. And I always say God is the grand organized design. So for whatever my purpose has been, and I've had a couple of near-life death experiences, as you will read in my book, he's kept me here for a reason. And so I just have to up my game each time.
Awesome. Doug, it's been such a pleasure having you here. I would love to have you come back on occasionally and give out more helpful tips. It's just going to be so rewarding. I know that everybody is going to learn and grow and just walk away fulfilled after listening to this.
I'm at your beck and call. Anytime you ask, I shall show up.
Thank you.
It was my pleasure.
Thank you. So listen, be the change that you wish to see in the world, and it only takes one. Doug is doing it. It only takes one. Remember, it's not only what Dr. Nancy knows, but it's who she knows.